They were once hailed as country music's immortal icons: Tammy Wynette, Crystal Gayle, and many other legendary names. But behind the scenes, scandals, lurid rumors, and shocking truths haunted a generation of artists. This video will reveal 12 old country music rumors that will shock and even chill you to the core of what they once hid. Number 12. Lorie Morgan. She wasn't just a country singer. She was a woman whose life was marked by love, loss, and heartbreak. Lorie Morgan made headlines after the tragic demise of her sixth husband, Randy White. By then, she had already endured a long, complicated history of marriages. But this time, the pain nearly broke her. Rumors swirled. Some whispered she could never hold a marriage together. Others claimed that Randy's death proved she would never find the perfect love. But Lorie herself revealed the truth in her own words. Beside a photo of them standing before the Grand Ole Opry, she wrote, "Randy has been my partner, my champion, and my rock for 17 years. Our big, wonderful family and I are devastated at the loss of this truly kind and incredible man. His love blessed me. Ran, I will love and miss you forever." It was clear. Randy White was not just her husband. He was a pillar, a protector, a man whose kindness touched everyone around him. Her son, Whitley, also paid tribute. "As I sit in the hospice room, I don't know what to say about this situation, but I can tell you, since I was 22 years old, this man has loved my mom, me, and my sister as if he were our own. He's been the best grandfather my kids could ever ask for. He picked me up late at night when it wasn't safe to drive, and never once was he angry." The grief was overwhelming. But through the tears, one truth echoed again and again. Randy White was irreplaceable. And for Lorie Morgan, his love was the greatest gift she ever had, and the most painful loss she would ever endure. Number 11. Willie Nelson. On stage, he was untouchable, a true country icon. But offstage, Willie Nelson's personal life was anything but perfect. Rumors of infidelity swirled around him for years, and eventually, the truth came crashing down. In an interview, Willie himself admitted how his wife, Shirley Collie, discovered his betrayal. It wasn't through whispers, it wasn't through gossip, it was through a piece of paper, a hospital bill. Shirley had found it at home, and on that bill it was written clearly, "A baby girl born to Mrs. Connie Nelson." Confused and furious, Shirley demanded answers. Who was Connie Nelson? Willie confessed. "The truth is, Connie had been my girlfriend for several years before becoming pregnant." Lana Nelson, Willie's daughter, later added, "She had no idea Connie even existed. She had no idea there was a baby until she saw that hospital bill. That's how she found out. That's how I found out." Shirley was devastated. She couldn't handle his betrayal, and so she walked out, leaving Willie behind. But the scandals didn't end there. Willie Nelson would go on to have many more affairs. Number 9. Johnny Cash. Hadn't thought about that in a long time, but we did have some good lunches there. If Willie Nelson's sins were of the heart, Johnny Cash's demons were darker. He was a man forever at war with himself and with the law. According to records, Johnny struggled with substance addiction. On one infamous occasion, he was caught smuggling amphetamines in his guitar case across the Mexican border into El Paso, Texas.
Customs agents discovered 1,000 pills hidden inside. Johnny Cash was arrested on the spot. When he stood before the judge, Johnny admitted, "When I got to court, I realized my mistake. It was bad, appalling misconduct on my part." He was fined $1,000 and given a 30-day suspended sentence. The punishment could have been far worse. But fellow country legends Gene Autry and Tex Ritter pleaded for leniency. Their letters of support convinced the judge to spare him. But trouble followed Johnny everywhere. One night after a performance at Mississippi State University, he found himself in jail again. The reason? Picking flowers. Johnny laughed about it years later. "You wouldn't believe it. I got thrown in jail in Starkville, Mississippi for picking flowers. 2 in the morning, after a show, I bent down, picked a daisy and a dandelion. Next thing I know, a car pulls up. They yell, 'Get the hell in here, boy!' And just like that, $36 fine and a night in jail. You can't hardly win, can you?" From drugs to daffodils, Johnny Cash's run-ins with the law became legendary. Proof that even icons sometimes fell from grace.
Number 10. Tammy Wynette. She was one of country music's most iconic voices. But behind the spotlight, Tammy Wynette carried scars of pain and trauma. On October 4th, 1978, her life took a terrifying turn. Tammy was abducted in broad daylight. When the news broke, people didn't believe her. Some whispered it was just a publicity stunt. Others claimed it was a cover-up to hide infidelity. But this was no stunt, no cover-up. It was real. That afternoon, in the parking lot of the Kane Sloan department store in Green Hills, Nashville, Tennessee, Tammy was shopping for her 8-year-old daughter's birthday. When she returned to her car, she had unknowingly walked straight into a nightmare. Tammy left the car unlocked. A masked man was waiting in the back seat. She recalled in an interview, "I felt a poke in my side, and a man's voice said, 'Drive.' All I could see was a brown glove, hair on his arm, and the barrel of a gun." What followed was sheer horror. The man strangled her with pantyhose, leaving burn marks on her neck. He punched her violently before abandoning her in a strange town 80 miles from Nashville. Dazed and battered, Tammy stumbled to the home of a woman named Jeanette Young. Young later told the press, "Her neck hurt her real bad. Her cheek was skinned, her face swollen and red from whatever had been tied around her neck." The crime made front-page headlines. Tammy told People magazine, "It was the most terrifying experience of my life. At times like this, I wish I weren't famous." But even with her injuries, many doubted her. Why? Police found the case puzzling. She had 30 credit cards and $40 in cash, untouched. She wasn't robbed, she wasn't assaulted, and she claimed she never saw his face. Suspicion grew. Doubts lingered. Even Tammy herself replayed it endlessly in her mind. Why didn't I just ram the car? Why didn't I fight? But then, I think I'm alive. If I'd done that, he might have shot me. They had caught him, but I'd be dead. Years later, after her death, it became clear Tammy Wynette's abduction was horrifically real. Number 9. Linda Ronstadt. There was a rumor so strong it became a part of her legacy, that Linda Ronstadt never got married. People used to say, there are 2 kinds of men in this world, those with a crush on Linda Ronstadt and those who never heard of her. And maybe it was true, because though she never walked down the aisle,
Linda's love life was anything but empty. She was linked to some of the most fascinating men in music. In the early 1970s, she dated producer John Boylan. He worked on her albums, managed her career, and helped push her into the spotlight. Their story could have ended in marriage, but it didn't. Years later, Linda reflected on that relationship. It was very unhealthy, and it went on for far too long. Then came singer-songwriter J.D. Souther. He wrote songs for her, performed with her, even produced one of her albums. He also played a pivotal role in forming the Eagles, a band that started as Linda's backing group. Souther once recalled their quirky first encounter. "I told her, 'I think you should cook me dinner.' She said, 'Okay,' and gave me her number. That night she made me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I fell in love. The next day, I said, 'Pack your things, you're living with me.'" But like many of her romances, it didn't last. By the late 1980s, Linda's heart was captured by Aaron Neville. Their chemistry was undeniable. They sang together, duetted on hit after hit. Entertainment Weekly even crowned them the first couple of pop music. Fans believed he was the one, the man Linda Ronstadt would finally marry. But once again, marriage never came. For Linda, love was always a song, beautiful, fleeting, and unfinished.
Number 8. June Carter Cash. Her love story with Johnny Cash became the stuff of legend. On stage, they looked inseparable, a perfect couple, bonded by music and passion. But behind the romance was a story of broken vows and fractured hearts. For years, the world believed Johnny Cash was the one guilty of infidelity. But the truth, June Carter herself had a complicated past. She was married not once, but twice before Johnny. From 1952 to 1956, June was married to country singer Carl Smith. They had one child together. Then, from 1957 to 1966, she was with soccer player Edwin Lee Nix. Again, another marriage, another child. By the time she met Johnny, June was already no stranger to heartbreak. But there was one problem. Johnny was still married. Since 1954, he had been the husband of Vivian Liberto Cash. Together, they shared 4 children. But once June entered the picture, everything changed. Their love was undeniable, their affair unstoppable. Vivian later confessed, her voice full of pain. "I should have been relentless at saving it, as relentless as June was at destroying it. I'd have given anything to hear Johnny say he was sorry." But no apology ever came. Vivian eventually moved on, remarrying in 1968 and remained with her husband until her death in 2005. For Johnny and June, their love story was immortalized in song. But for Vivian, it was nothing more than a love stolen and a family lost. Number 7. Patsy Cline. Her voice was powerful, her songs unforgettable, but her life was marked by rejection and tragedy. In her hometown, Patsy Cline was never fully embraced. Despite her extraordinary talent, many refused to celebrate her. It wasn't just rumor, it was the truth. And then came the unthinkable. On March 5, 1963, Patsy Cline's life ended in a horrific plane crash near Camden, Tennessee. She was only 30 years old. Her death sent shockwaves through country music. Ironically, it was only after her passing that the world truly began to listen. Songs like Sweet Dreams were released posthumously, and suddenly, her voice was everywhere. Some even said Patsy became more famous in death than she ever was in life. That may be true, because in the very year she died, 1963, Patsy Cline was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. A cruel twist of fate, a star unrecognized in life, immortalized only in death. Number 6. Jessica Andrews. She was young, she was talented, and she rose to fame faster than most could imagine. But with fame came danger. Jessica Andrews faced a nightmare no artist ever expects: an obsessed fan who started impersonating her. In an interview with Bobby Bones, Jessica revealed the truth. She stopped putting out music altogether because the impersonation had escalated into threats. And then, something shocking happened. During the Bobby Bones show, the stalker herself called in. She left a voicemail. Her words stunned everyone. "I never impersonated Jessica by booking shows or releasing music." But at the end of the message, her tone shifted. She admitted that she would stop threatening Jessica if she'd just release new music. The entire studio was frozen. No one knew how to respond. Bobby Bones finally broke the silence. Half serious, half desperate, he said, "Call back with your Venmo and I'll pay you $500 to stop doing this to Jessica Andrews." It was bizarre. It was terrifying. And it left fans wondering, how could a rising star's biggest obstacle be a stalker trying to control her music?
Number 5. Loretta Lynn. Her music was honest, her lyrics raw, and that's what made Loretta Lynn unforgettable. One of her biggest hits, "If You Don't Want to Go to Fist City," wasn't just a catchy tune, it was born from pain. Loretta later admitted that at the time she wrote the song, her husband was cheating on her. Instead of breaking down, she fought back the only way she knew how, through music. She turned betrayal into rhythm, heartache into an anthem. The song climbed straight to the top of the Billboard Hot Country chart, where it reigned for a week, and it solidified Loretta's reputation as a fearless voice for women. In a 2016 interview with the Wall Street Journal, Loretta said, quote, "Most songwriters wrote about falling in love, breaking up, being alone. But me? I just wrote what I knew, and what I knew usually involved something somebody did to me." Through honesty, she became legendary. Through pain, she gave women everywhere a voice. Number 4. Garth Brooks. At the height of his fame, Garth Brooks was unstoppable. Hit after hit, stadium after stadium. But with that fame came controversy. At one point, Brooks faced whispers and rumors that threatened to overshadow his career. For years, fans debated the truth behind these claims. Stories swirled around his name, some exaggerated, some distorted by time. Despite the chaos, Brooks never let the noise derail him. He stepped away from the spotlight for a time, leaving fans stunned. Many didn't believe he would actually walk away, but he did. When he returned, he came back stronger than ever, selling out tours and breaking records once again. Love him or hate him, one thing was clear: Garth Brooks had the power to survive storms and remain country music's ultimate showman. Number 4. Garth Brooks. At the height of his fame, Garth Brooks was unstoppable. Hit after hit, stadium after stadium. But with that fame came controversy. At one point, Brooks faced whispers and rumors that threatened to overshadow his career. For years, fans debated the truth behind these claims. Stories swirled around his name, some exaggerated, some distorted by time. Despite the chaos, Brooks never let the noise derail him. He stepped away from the spotlight for a time, leaving fans stunned. Many didn't believe he would actually walk away, but he did. When he returned, he came back stronger than ever, selling out tours and breaking records once again. Love him or hate him, one thing was clear: Garth Brooks had the power to survive storms and remain country music's ultimate showman. Number 3. Hank Williams Sr.
He was a pioneer, a voice that shaped the very soul of country music. And yet, Hank Williams lived life by his own rules. Fans adored him for it. But behind the curtain, his wild lifestyle came with a heavy price. Rumors swirled for years. Hank was reckless, unpredictable, always one step away from disaster. And the truth? Those rumors were real. His behavior spiraled so far out of control that he was banned from the Grand Ole Opry, the very stage that had made him a star. Not just banned, he lost his membership entirely. In an instant, the king of honky-tonk was left with nothing. From brilliance to chaos, Hank Williams became one of the most troubled and tragic legends country music had ever known. Number 2. Merle Haggard. Before the fame, before the music, Merle Haggard's life was nothing short of chaos. As a boy, he was restless, rebellious, and by the age of 11, already living on the edge of trouble. It was so bad that his own mother dropped him off at a juvenile detention center. The word they used to describe him? Incorrigible. A child beyond control. Years later, Merle himself would admit it. In a 2010 interview with NPR, he said, "I was probably the most incorrigible child you could ever meet. I was already on the way to prison before I realized it. I was kind of a screw-up." From that troubled boy came the man who turned pain into poetry and rebellion into timeless country music. Number 1. Waylon Jennings. For decades, whispers surrounded him. Rumors of struggle, rumors of addiction. And the truth? They were all real. Waylon Jennings battled substance abuse for 27 long years. It consumed his life. It nearly destroyed his career. But in the end, it was love that saved him. He admitted he was terrified, afraid that if he didn't stop, he would lose the only thing that truly mattered: his passion, his music. That fear became his strength. That strength became his freedom. And when Jennings finally broke free, he transformed his pain into art. From addiction came redemption. From brokenness came unforgettable songs. Waylon Jennings proved one thing: even the darkest battles can give birth to the brightest music. That was our countdown of country legends and the shocking truths behind their fame. Which story hit you the hardest? Tell us in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, share with friends, and subscribe so you never miss the next hidden story. See you in the next video, where another secret awaits.